Hello, Leon. It's your Zayde, Mason. I'm here to read you the ABCs of physics. So, we will get started in just a moment. This reading will be for you. So, the ABCs of physics. A is for atom. All things are made of atoms. We've talked about atoms before. Atoms are protons, neutrons, and electrons. Yeah? And when they smash together, which is called fusion, and we'll talk about that in a minute, they can create nuclear reactions called fusion. As I say, we'll talk about it in a minute. And when they combine, they make molecules, which we've talked about before, as with thermodynamics. A black hole is a star. B is for black hole. Sorry. B is for black hole. A black hole is a star that's so dense that not even light can escape its gravity, and that's when it collapses in on itself. There are many of them out in the universe, and we've actually taken a photograph of one recently. A wonderful scientist was able to put it together and photograph one. Anyway, the boundary of a black hole is called the event horizon, also known as a Schwarzschild radius, but we'll talk about that someday. Anyway, many physicists believe that there's a very big black hole in the center of our galaxy, and in other locations in other galaxies. C is for charge. We've talked about electromagnetics. A charge can be positive or negative. See how it goes from positive to negative? We've talked about this before, electromagnetics for babies. Anyway, here it is again. Charge is a physical property of matter that causes electrostatic attraction and repulsion. So it goes from repulsion from one to the other. When two positives get near each other, they repel, or when two negatives get near each other, they repel. Positive and negative attract. Opposite charges are attracted and like charges are repelled. D is for diffraction. We talked about this with optical physics. Diffraction happens when a wave hits an object. It passes through and it goes through a medium and you get diffraction. And it happens with waves, it happens with physical things like water. Waves can be made up of different things like light, liquid, or sound. Even sound diffracts. When waves hit more than one object, multiple diffraction events can create designs called interference patterns. And you've got Fraunhofer interference, and you've got Fresnel diffraction, which allows you to do things like magnification, or with lighthouses. We'll talk about that another time. E is for Einstein. Albert Einstein invented the theory of relativity. Or did his wife? We don't know, but it doesn't really matter. Because of that theory of relativity, and E equals mc squared, which is another thing E stands for, he's considered to be one of the greatest scientists who ever lived. I disagree with that. We could talk about Richard Feynman someday, but F is not for Feynman in this book, so we'll talk about that later. Anyway, we'll talk about Einstein someday, but we'll move on to Feynman another day, and you and I will have a discussion about that. Anyway, moving on to F. F is for fusion. Fusion happens when two atoms collide and create a new atom. Yeah? And we talked about that a minute ago. For some atoms, a lot of energy is created by fusion, and they are just on the edge of being able to create a nuclear fusion device, which theoretically could make infinite energy, although I think that's a little pushing it. But in any case, the main point is you can get energy when you combine atoms and make something new. G is for gravity, like the moon moving around the earth, or any two objects feel gravity. Gravity is the force that brings us back down when we jump. It's true. You are a mass, the earth is a mass, the earth is a much bigger mass, and the earth pulls you down through gravity. Gravity causes things to be attracted to each other. Any two things, like the earth and the moon, or you and the earth. Gravity keeps the moon in orbit around the earth, or the earth in orbit around the sun. H is for heat. Heat is the transfer of energy from something hot to something cold. And we've talked about thermodynamics. Fire is hot and gives off heat to its cooler surrounding. So someday you'll have a fireplace or have a fire pit and you'll feel the fire. And the sun is very hot and gives heat to the earth. It's true. That's what keeps us warm in the summer. It actually helps keep us warm in the winter too, but it doesn't feel like it. I is for ion. Ooh, ion. An ion is an atom that has greater or fewer number of electrons than it has protons. So it either has a net negative charge if it has a greater number of electrons, or it has a net positive charge if it has fewer number of electrons. And making an ion is called ionization. All right. A joule is a standard unit of energy. J is for joule. And 1 joule is the amount of energy released when an object that weighs 100 grams is dropped 1 meter. Oh, yeah. This is about the size of a large apple falling from 3 feet to the ground or hitting Newton on the head. The joule is named after the physicist named Joule, who worked on thermodynamics. So we're going to do 2 more, and then I will continue this book on another day. K is for Kelvin. A Kelvin is the standard unit of temperature. It is. That's true. 80 degrees Fahrenheit is about 300 degrees Kelvin. 80 is pretty warm. 300 seems like it's really warm, but it's the same temperature. The Kelvin was named after the physicist William Thomson, or it was named, who became Lord Kelvin. So that's where the K comes from. And L, and after this we'll stop. L is for liquid, which you will know lots of. You drink water, you drink milk, you might even have a milkshake someday. That's kind of a liquid. Liquid, solid, and gas are the 3 primary states of matter. So water in its liquid form that you will normally see is liquid. When it's really cold at 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius, it's ice. Or if it goes above 100 degrees Celsius or 270 or 212 Fahrenheit, it becomes a gas. So if a liquid is too hot, it becomes a gas. If it's too cold, it becomes a solid. And there are some things that you will run into where something can go directly from a solid to a gas or vice versa. That's called sublimation when it goes from a solid to a gas. We'll learn about that someday too, with like carbon dioxide, called dry ice. Anyway, I'm going to stop at L because this is a long video. So we will continue on with M, and M is not for Mason, just a preview. M is for magnet, but we'll come back to M later. I love you very much, Leon, and we will continue on with M another day. Bye. This is your Zayde checking out.